All right. Here we are. All right. Welcome back. So today we are talking about 9, the Hermit. And I think this video is going to be a little respite from the battery of very long videos that I've posted for the last few cards, because there are only a couple of things that I want to talk about. So let's get right to it. The general point of this chapter is that the Hermit represents assimilating the experiences of the past and using them to light the way forward. And I think this shows up in most images of the Hermit in most decks, is that there's a lantern, and it's important that there's a light in the lantern because it represents, and this line is very easy to draw straight across from a lantern lit to enlightenment. So the lighting of the way is using your understanding to help figure out where you want to go and what you want to do. And I think one of the cool things about this is that the light isn't just necessarily for you. It's taking a look, looking back through all the other cards, and taking the experiences and the knowledge and the wisdom gained from those experiences to synthesize a better understanding of self and of things outside of yourself, so that you can not only make progress in your own way, but help other people make progress on their own paths as well. Because the light is not just for you. It's not guidance just for you. It's helpful to everyone. So that's the general point of the chapter. What I may have done is something that I railed against in this chapter, which is that Sallie Nichols talks about this card as like exclusively male, which makes sense because the image is, of course, like a bearded man, but I don't think that we need to gender the cards so drastically. She gives this idea that we only see figures of authority like father, president, king, emperor, pope, priest, judge, guru, etc. And what about female authority? Because you can have female authorities and there's just as much wisdom and knowledge that can be gained from the female perspective. Why aren't we acknowledging that? So like, what about empress or priestess or mother or queen? What about all the other kinds of feminine authority? The Hermit must represent both of these things in order to create that light and to move forward. So that's one of the things. And the last thing is that on page 168, I believe, Sallie Nichols says that one can never become an archetypal figure. And while this like consciously makes sense, like intellectually, logically makes sense, I think I understand archetypes or assess archetypes in a different way than Sallie Nichols does. I should just read you the thing. It'll make a little bit more sense. I have mixed feelings on the validity of that statement, as I believe the archetypes are psychological forms, and thus intellectually grounded, but that if we are adapting the mannerisms and approaching life with the outlook of an archetype, we make them real. Each person will understand and experience all of these archetypes, and each will be different on both the internal and external fronts. If, then, the archetype is individuated and idiosyncratic, does not masking as one inherently make it real? Perhaps the mental dissonance for me is that I am approaching the archetypes as persona or as masks, and Miss Nichols is portraying them as psychological signifiers living in the collective unconscious. So, I guess to make that a little more clear, the way that I see the archetypes is things that we can directly interact with. That if we think about this monolithic archetype, this pure understanding of a personality or an experience, that we can emulate the traits of it and thus sort of become the archetype. obviously we can't fully become the archetype because we ourselves cannot be that completely pure. The our understanding of self also comes from other people's understanding of who we are, and we integrate those to create ourself. And archetypes are simply psychological constructs. The I think big argument that I'm trying to make is that I think we interact with them directly, and Miss Nichols does not. I think Miss Nichols goes to great pains to show us that archetypes are part of our collective unconscious, that examples and characters that describe these archetypes exist in our media throughout all cultures, throughout all of humanity and all time. But that they are signifiers that are somewhere in the collective unconscious where we can't actually interact with them, that we can understand them, but that they represent something that humanity yearns towards and can't ever truly connect to. Hopefully that makes sense. That was everything that I wanted to talk about. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, love you, bye!